The high-profile trial where this hour began of the illegal immigrant charged with brutally murdering Laken Riley at the University of Georgia. She was on a run, jogging, is about to resume at any moment now. Now, they've been on a one-hour lunch break during this hour. So we wrapped up at the end of the Faulkner Focus. They had a couple of tech difficulties at the end there on their end. And then we came here and they took a lunch break. So they are about to resume. And riveting doesn't even touch it. The mom left the courtroom, the dad, the stepdad, and 24 other family members sat while the body cam played of the sergeant who found her and tried to save her in the woods off the trail. The guy who is accused is in the top right of your screen. The trial continues moments away. Thank you for watching Outnumbered. America Reports Now.
And our coverage continues of just that with this Fox News alert. Any moment now, we are expecting the trial of Jose Ibarra to resume in Athens, Georgia. Ibarra, the illegal immigrant suspected of brutally murdering 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley.
Already, prosecutors have presented dramatic police body cam footage from the officer who discovered Riley's body. In just a few moments, we will go live to Athens for the latest on the trial, and we will talk to Andy McCarthy about what we have heard so far and what it means for the case.
Donald Trump is moving forward to implement the agenda that he ran on. The American people have given him a common sense agenda. They've given him a common sense mandate to make America great again.
The speed by which President Trump has nominated these people is incredible. They're ready, they're organized, they know what the mandate is.
What I'm trying to do when I come in as a board czar, go talk to Laken Riley's parents, sit in this trial, listen how this young girl fought for her life. Put yourself in her parents' shoes and tell me you want to put a roadblock up from President Trump trying to remove these criminal threats from the country. It's disgusting.
Well, you have been seeing it play out in real time. Republicans hitting the ground running as President-elect Trump continues to roll out new picks for his cabinet, announcing several new additions in just the last 24 hours alone. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. John, great to be with you on this Friday afternoon.
Good to be back with you again, Sandra. It's amazing how quickly the president-elect is rolling his cabinet out. I'm John Roberts in Washington. This is America Reports. One of the latest members to join Trump's team is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who will take on the head role at the Department of Health and Human Services if he is confirmed.
Bill Melugin is live in West Palm Beach, Florida, to kick things off for us. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Sandra, good afternoon to you. Well, I tell you what, it feels like it's gotten to the point where if you blink, you might miss something because Donald Trump is making these announcements at such a rapid pace. He made 7 of these picks yesterday alone, the last of which happened right here in Florida last night regarding North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Take a listen.
I won't tell you the name of his, the exact name. I think he's an incredible person. Might be something like Burgum. He's from North Dakota. He's going to be announced tomorrow for a very big position. He's going to head the Department of Interior, and he's going to be fantastic.
In the meantime, the New York Times is reporting that Elon Musk had a secret meeting with the Iranian ambassador to the United States earlier this week in New York City, apparently an effort to try to cool down tensions in the Middle East. Musk has obviously been heavily involved in the transition so far. He was at Mar-a-Lago with Trump last night where he said they're planning to shake everything up.
I think this is going to be the most transformative presidency perhaps since the founding of the country. It's not going to be business as usual. We're going to shake things up. It's going to be a revolution.
Now, you guys were just talking about it. Trump's splashiest and most controversial pick yesterday was his choice of RFK Jr. to head up the Health and Human Services Department. Democrats were quick to pounce on that. That includes Democrat House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who said today he is just not impressed with the pick. Take a listen.
The former president promised on the campaign trail that America would have the best economy, the best border security, and the best administration possible. And the question that we have to all ask, are these the best individuals available?
And it's important to point out that HHS is not just a health agency. If he ends up getting confirmed, RFK Jr. would play a role in Trump's border agenda. Why is that? Well, it's because HHS is the agency that takes care of unaccompanied migrant children who show up at the border. Once Border Patrol gets them, they transfer them to HHS. HHS takes care of them. Then they have to find and vet adult sponsors for them across the country. So, guys, if something goes wrong with the care of these migrant children, that can be a very politically perilous position to be in. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Bill Melugin live in West Palm for us. Bill, thank you. John?
Sandra, proceedings back underway in a Georgia courtroom now in the trial of Jose Ibarra, an illegal immigrant from Venezuela who is charged with killing 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley. The prosecution opened with a detailed summary of the evidence in the case they say ties Ibarra to the horrific crime, and also described how the victim fought long and hard for her life. The defense tried to dismiss the evidence in his first remarks, calling it all, quote, circumstantial. Fox News team coverage. Andy McCarthy joins us in just a moment. But we begin with Madison Scarpino. She's live outside the courthouse in Athens, Georgia. Madison?
Hello, John. We've already heard a lot of testimony from multiple witnesses, including Laken Riley's 3 roommates, who say that they were more like family. But perhaps the most shocking testimony so far has come from the UGA police officer who found Riley's lifeless body on campus. And we're about to play some audio of that. And we do want to warn our viewers that this may be disturbing. Listen.
The university, I found her. Ma'am, she's down, she's not breathing. Potentially been attacked. Starting CPR now.
During opening statements, the prosecutor said that Jose Ibarra went out hunting for women the day that Riley was murdered. She says that when Riley refused to be Ibarra's rape victim, he bashed her skull in with a rock several times. The prosecutor also says Riley and Ibarra's interaction was long and that Riley put up a fight. They say she struggled with Ibarra for over 15 minutes. Now, prosecutors also showed surveillance video of Ibarra throwing a jacket into the dumpster. Her family was sobbing during all of this, understandably, but Ibarra's defense claims that the evidence in this case just is not strong enough, and the judge expects testimony to end around 5 p.m. today. It's going to resume on Monday. If convicted, Ibarra faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Back to you.
It really is remarkable that most of the family was able to stay in the courtroom during that. Madison Scarpino for us in Athens. Madison, thank you. Sandra?
John, let's bring in Andy McCarthy now, a former assistant U.S. attorney and a Fox News contributor. Obviously, incredibly disturbing details emerging from that courtroom, including this moment, Andy, where the prosecution detailed the bloody fingerprint they alleged to be Ibarra's on Laken Riley's phone. Listen.
They were calling the phone, they were pinging the phone, her phone was on silence. When they found it, this is what Daniela Stewart of the GBI saw on her iPhone, exactly where your thumb would be if you go to hang up a call on an iPhone. So at the bottom of the iPhone, she found this latent print in blood.
Obviously, very detailed evidence being presented in court. So where does that bring this case?
Well, you know, the evidence seems like it's overwhelming to me. I'm puzzled, although, you know, you have to play the hand you're dealt if you're a defense lawyer. But to complain that this is a circumstantial case, that's an argument that you would usually make to a jury, but this is a bench trial, and Judge Haggard is a very experienced jurist who's handled a lot of high-profile criminal cases. Prosecutors actually like circumstantial evidence cases, especially if you have enough circumstantial evidence, because there are things, Sandra, like fingerprints, DNA evidence, data from cell phones and that sort of stuff that can't be cross-examined. You know, if you can establish that it is what it is and it ties to the crime scene, that's not the kind of thing that you can knock down. Whereas if you have a case that's not circumstantial, but say it's built on the testimony of an insider or an accomplice, if a defense lawyer can do a good job dismantling the witness's testimony on cross-examination, you can do a lot of damage to the prosecution's case. But with the kind of forensic details that we're talking about here, those are very strong circumstances. And for an experienced judge like Haggard, I think he will be impressed by that evidence.
As damning as that evidence may seem, Andy, this was Ibarra's defense trying to raise doubts in the courtroom about who exactly was using Ibarra's phone. Listen.
When they looked into this phone, when they did a close examination of who was using this phone, it wasn't just Jose Ibarra. It was other people in that apartment who were using this phone. While the phone was there, that's true. It doesn't show that Mr. Ibarra was there.
So obviously, Laken Riley's phone is being presented as evidence. His phone is being used as evidence as well, making the case that somebody else could have been at the scene.
Yeah, well, see, this is another kind of argumentation that I don't think is going to be effective with an experienced trial judge. In every case, what a defense lawyer tries to do, particularly in so-called circumstantial cases, is take every piece of evidence in isolation and try to detract from why it's an important piece of evidence in the case. And judges in every criminal case instruct the jury that pieces of evidence are supposed to be looked at not in isolation, but in conjunction. So you have to look at all of the different strands of evidence at once. And it's true. They may be able to knock down one. They may be able to discount another. But when you look at the whole thing as a mosaic, rather than as it comes to you piece by piece by piece, it becomes very difficult to mount a defense that way.
Yeah, I want to finish off with this last piece of evidence where the Ibarra defense, Andy, tries to raise doubts about who was actually seen in that key surveillance video near the crime scene. Listen here.
You'll hear that someone in that video, in the so-called dumpster video, was wearing an Adidas hat. That's true. When they find that hat, and specifically the hat that was tested in this case, it was worn by Diego Ibarra, not Jose Ibarra.
How important do you see that moment in all of this?
Well, I would have thought it was much more important, Sandra, if the lawyer had taken the next step and said that Diego is the guilty party here, not Jose, the brother. But of course, he didn't want to go there. He's just trying to sow doubt. And again, I don't think you can make a point or two on every single individual different piece of evidence. But once you weave them together, it's very hard to dismantle the mosaic.
Got it. Just an incredibly difficult case and courtroom to watch there with this evidence coming forward. Thank you very much, Andy. We'll keep watching it.
Thank you.
All right.
It is our responsibility to maintain democracy, to have the views of all our Californian readers, in fact, the views of all the national readers, to be aired. Because if we just have the one side, it becomes nothing else but an echo chamber.
The owner of the Los Angeles Times says it's time for the paper to be more fair and balanced. How he plans to go about that, coming up next.
Plus, left-wing organizations struggling to rally support against President-elect Trump's second term. Karl Rove is up next on why the so-called resistance is losing steam. Next.